The context of today's gospel is everything. Jesus is sitting with his best friends at dinner. They've enjoyed a fantastic meal. There are people gathered around the table. And then in the darkness of the candlelit setting, one person stands up and leaves the room. And Jesus turns to the rest of the group and says, I leave you with this commandment, that you love one another. Others will know that you are my disciples by the way that you love each other. The context, the moment, means everything. For the man who had left the room was Judas. And in the midst of Jesus' awareness that he was being betrayed, he turned to them and shared a message of love and forgiveness. The moment meant everything. How do we, as contemporary disciples of Jesus Christ, love each other? What does that mean in 2013? How do we love each other as community? How do we love each other one-to-one? How do we love each other in a group? These are the things I'd like to share with you for a few minutes today. Last night, Joyce and I were in London for a little while having dinner with a close friend, and he was telling us about his experiences of the Boston Marathon. If you go back at the tape, right at the moment of the bombing, on the right-hand side, about 3 rows back, running towards the camera, is about a 70-year-old man who gets knocked down by the explosion. You'll only see it for a second, but the next time CNN, which would be the 20,000th time they show it, the next time, look for the guy on the right, 3 rows back, looks old. He is 73. Just making sure you're listening. And the explosion blew him down. And what you don't see on the camera is the 2 guys that were on their way to the finish line looked out of the corner of the eye, saw him fall, and turned around and went back and brought him to his feet, and one on either side crossed the finish line with him. That's what it means to love each other in the midst of crisis and confusion. When somebody has a bad time, it's not the appropriate moment to say, I have something to tell you about them so that you won't love them anymore. It's the time to come alongside someone and lift them up and help them finish the race of life. It is an extraordinary example. Imagine you are at the finish line. You will win the time that your goal has been set for, yet you turn around in love and grace for humanity and lift up another. There are hundreds of stories now of people who reached out to each other, who instead of running away from the bomb, ran into the fire to help others. These are Jesus' models of loving each other, to be present with each other in the most difficult times of life. The loss of a job, a divorce, a bad report from the doctor. These are the times to close in tight with each other and hold each other up. A matter of fact, if you have spent time recently with someone who has said, I have information about another person that'll make you stop loving them, the smartest thing you can do is run. Because there's nothing healthy about that situation. Instead, we need to run towards those in need. That is Christian love. How did Jesus show that example? When someone was ill, he healed them. When somebody was in crisis, he stood with them and he held them in his arms. Again and again, physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual healing, that Jesus reached out to others around him and granted them new beginnings and new hope in the midst of their desperation. To love one another changes lives.